Okay, class, today we're going to be doing a lesson over solving systems of equations by graphing. There's a few things here I want you to make note of. If lines intersect, that means they cross at one point. If they cross at one point, I'm going to have one solution. If lines coincide, it means it's the same line. For instance, y equals 5x plus 8 and y equals 5x plus 8. They coincide, they overlap, so you're going to have infinite many solutions. If the lines are parallel, meaning they have the same slope, they're going to have no solutions because the solution is the point where they cross. If they're parallel, they'll never cross. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work a couple of examples for you by graphing, and I want you to take good notes here. I'm going to work a couple for you, then I'm going to give you a couple to work on your own. So first one we're going to work here is number 1. So on number 1, I have two lines, and I want to know where the lines connect. Let's look at one more thing while I'm thinking about it. Go ahead and also highlight consistent and independent, consistent and dependent and inconsistent. Because that's the terminology you're going to see used a lot. So if I have one slope, they're consistent and they're independent of each other. If I have, one solution. If I have infinite many, they're consistent, but they're all dependent on each other. And if they're parallel, they're inconsistent. Make sure you highlight that as well. And now we'll move on to work a problem. So for number 1, in order to solve for a graph, what do I have to do first? That's correct. I have to solve for y. So we're going to work the first one together first. So for the first one, I have 3x plus y equals negative 2, correct? So to solve that, I got to get y by itself. So it's really y equals negative 3x minus 2. So what I care about is my slope. My slope is negative 3, which is the same as negative 3 over 1. And my y-intercept is negative 2. So I know I'm going to go over here to my graph, and I'm going to start at negative 2, and I'm going to put a point. And then I'm going to go, because of my slope is negative 3, I know I'm going to have to go down 3 and over 1, correct? But do I have enough room to go down 3? So don't you know that that's the same thing? Can't I write that slope as 3 over negative 1? It's the same thing. So in this case, I'll have to move how? I'll have to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the left 1, giving me a point about right there. And then I'm going to connect my dots. And it's very crucial, guys, that you connect these dots accurate, because where the lines cross is going to be your intersection. So now I'm going to do my other line. So for my other line, I have 6x plus 2y equals 10. So if I solve, I'm going to have 2y equals negative 6x plus 10. Divide everything by 2. And I'm going to have y equals negative 3x plus 5. So where am I going to put my first point? That's correct. I'm going to put it at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my point's going to be about there. And then I'm going to go down 3 and to the left 5. So down 3. 1, 2, 3. To the left one's here. So what do you notice about those lines? Correct, they're parallel. So because they're parallel, they both have the same slope. What's my answer going to be? If you're confused, go back and look at your chart. Parallel, same slope means what? That's correct, inconsistent. So I know my answer here is going to be inconsistent. Okay. So now we're going to work number 3. Okay, so let's look at number 3 now. So I know that I got to get y by itself, correct? So I'm going to have negative 3y equals negative 2x plus 0, right? So that's really y equals 2/3 x, and it's positive because a negative divided by negative is positive. So then I'm going to solve my other equation, which is I'm going to have negative 6y equals negative 4x plus 3. Divide everything by negative 6, and I'm going to have y equals 2/3 x minus 3, correct? I'm sorry, that should be a minus 2. So what do you notice about these two? It's correct, the slope's the same. So because the slope's the same, the lines are going to be parallel, and my answer is going to be inconsistent. Inconsistent. So now we're going to work one more. We're going to work number 6. So I know that I have the first equation I'm going to end up with, negative y equals negative 3x plus 2. Divide everything by that negative. I'm going to have y equals 3x minus 2. So now I'm going to work the other equation. So I'm going to have y equals negative x plus 6, correct? So now I'm going to graph both of those. So for the first one, I'm going to start at negative 2. And how am I going to move? Up 3 and to the right 1. And then I'm going to connect those two lines. Okay, that was not a very good line. Let me try that again. Lose my little line drawer here. Okay, so then for the other one, when I connect those 2 points, I'm going to start at 6. Put my point. And then I'm going to go down 1 to the right 1. And I'm going to have my point there. And then I'm going to connect those two lines. Should be about right there. And what do I know about my answer there? How many points does it cross at? It only crosses at 1 point, correct? So if you look at your example above, 1 point means what? Consistent and independent. So those are the 2 things you need to know there. So now I want you to work number 1, 3, and 5 on your own, and we'll go over in class tomorrow. Y'all have a good evening.